Hello and good evening once again from the Tully's on the Vestal Parkway location. I'm Brooks Hill. Time for another edition of the Tully's Good Times with Coach Show. As I turn to my right, your left on the screen, wherever you're watching back home on YouTube. We want to thank you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. I'm joined once again by interim head coach Brant Sherwood. And Coach Sherwood, a big win for the Black Bears on Saturday over the Danbury Hat Tricks in overtime. And the first time this season that the Black Bears have bested the Hat Tricks, and it was on the road.
Yeah, that was a huge win for us, especially in that building. It's tough to come out with 3 points out of there, but we managed to do it. We gave up a few at the end there, but Jake Schultz ended up coming through in overtime, which was awesome.
We're going to get a little bit more in depth with that game in just a few minutes, but we thought we were going to keep it light a little bit here at the beginning of the show, and because this is the last show before the NHL takes their All-Star break, we thought that we would get a chance for Coach Sherwood to go ahead and maybe say some good words about the Buffalo Sabres, who are right now only 3 points out of a playoff spot in the wild card. They are fourth in the Atlantic Division, and they're going to send a great All-Star to South Florida this year. And I'm real excited about Tage Thompson, the way that he's been playing this year has been absolutely phenomenal. But you were just talking about Owen Power before we went on the air. So I know you don't get to watch as many Sabres games or stuff as you would want to, but what have you been seeing so far from the blue and gold this year that you really like?
Just a lot of young talent all around, especially on the D side. They got Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power, and he buried one last night in overtime to beat the Predators, so that was pretty cool. And they just keep climbing up the standings. And, after the Buffalo Bills loss, hopefully the Sabres can get into playoffs and make some noise there.
I think the Sabres making the playoffs would create just as much noise if the Bills made it to the AFC Championship game from this past weekend. But one little tidbit that I was picking up on in the national media and hockey was writing about this week is Ryan Miller officially had his jersey retired for the organization, a big accomplishment for such a good goaltender. I remember getting introduced to Ryan Miller back in the 05-06 Eastern Conference Finals when Buffalo was putting forth another rookie goaltender just like the Carolina Hurricanes were at the time, seeing his jersey go up into the rafters, and then the next night after that got to drop the ceremonial puck, and they let the goalies take the face-off, which I just thought was really neat. But what is it that you remember about Ryan Miller that just made him such a standout in the Buffalo hockey world?
Honestly, I just remember Rick Janneret making the call, "It's Miller time." And it's just one of those childhood memories that, like, you remember the black and red jerseys when he first started off. But we've always had good goaltenders in Buffalo, and it's kind of gotten away from that a little bit. I know they got a bit of a rotation right now, but I grew up loving Dominic Hasek and then followed up with Ryan Miller. I was pretty lucky in the goaltender department.
Well, before we shift off of the Buffalo Sabres, over the halfway point NHL season, fourth place in the Atlantic, 3 points out of a wild card spot. Do the Buffalo Sabres end their drought and make it into the playoffs this year?
My prediction is yes.
Yes. Okay, you heard it here first from interim head coach Brant Sherwood that the Sabres are going to make the playoffs this season. I'm going to double down. I'm going to say both of our teams are going to make the playoffs this year.
Let's go with that. I'm right there with you, Brooksy.
Both of our teams are going to make the playoffs this year. I think the Hurricanes aren't going to fall down into the wild card spot, and I think they're on a good pace to win the Metro Division for the third year in a row, but that's neither here nor there. They don't give out trophies in the regular season, only at the end of the summer for the big one. So let's go ahead and transition from National Hockey League talk to FPHL talk and take a deep dive inside what the Black Bears went through this past weekend. The Black Bears, with a weekend away from home, they traveled to Elmira on Friday night, and then they traveled to Danbury on Saturday. Luckily for the Black Bears, able to come home Friday night after the game in Elmira, get to sleep in their own beds before waking up and traveling the next afternoon to go to Danbury. So we'll start with the contest in Elmira and a game filled with a ton of storyline and emotion. The Black Bears hadn't faced off with Elmira in 2 months. Didn't face off with them in December, and we're almost at the end of January right now currently. So Black Bears fall down 1-0. MJ Merkel gets the revenge goal that everybody was talking about, bound to happen. You couldn't, Disney could not write a better movie about that for him. It was going to happen. Gets his first goal of the season with Elmira. Merkel would finish the night with 2 points, matching his season total with the Black Bears in his previous 18 games of the year. But the interesting thing about it is that the Black Bears would rattle off the next 3 goals, and after the opening goal from Elmira, Nikita Ivashkin ties the game up just 50 seconds later at 1. And kind of sucked the air right out of the building. Tyler Jurch does what he does best, scoring his 9th power play goal of the season. That still leads the entire league on extra man tallies. And then trying to get this to stick through a little bit, we already have the Butcher, so somebody has presented this one to me. I'm not going to say who, but they got the Pest from the Southwest for Chad Lopez. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but we're going to try to see if that one sticks and rolls off the tongue a little bit later on in this season, rather. It scores the final goal of the period, and the Black Bears are up 3-1 after 20 minutes, outshooting the home team 16-9 in an away barn. And before we get into a deep dive of the analytics of the period, I don't know if you noticed it, but from the broadcast booth, we were really able to pick up on how many Binghamton Black Bear fans they were on the road in Elmira. A lot of green and black spread out throughout the crowd on Friday night.
Yeah, it might as well have been a home game for us, but it's I like that new, what's it, Southwest?
Pest from the Southwest.
Pest from the Southwest. He was playing like a Pest Saturday night, big time against Danbury. But Elmira's got a really good team. I think they've made the right changes over the past few months, and I think we might have overlooked them, like I've talked about with the group, and we went in a little cocky, and even after going up 3-1, I thought our group thought it was going to be easy, and it's not going to be easy. At this time of the year, every game's going to be close. It's going to be a battle to the end, and you can't let up for one bit. And unfortunately, we let up, and they kept hanging around, and they ended up getting that goal towards the end. But it was kind of a weird game, a little bit fluky. The ice, it was basically melting as we skated on it. So a lot of the guys were saying they're skating through quicksand, or the puck was stopping. It was just it was a little sloppy, to be honest.
It's interesting that you mentioned the ice conditions. I was having people send us messages to the team social media account, and obviously while the game's going on, I don't have the time to respond while we're broadcasting the game and talking to the producers back at the radio station. But a couple of fans back at home who were not in First Arena in Elmira the other weekend were sitting like, hey, the ice looks wet. Is everything okay? And at this point, I'm just seeing people go up and down, up and down. I made a note that's like, hey, people seem to be losing their edges a little bit more, something like that. And we're going to talk with Josh Newberg a little bit later on in the show about what goes into, the size selection of skates or blades, rather. Whether you go 1/2 inch, 5/8, or 3/8, what the differences are in between all of those, and what kind of styles benefit what kind of players.
Well, just to add with that, you don't really want too much of an edge. You want them super dull. If the ice, if you're sinking in so much, you don't need a sharp edge. And it's an adjustment for the guys. It's no excuse. More so, I was disappointed in the penalties we took. A lot of undisciplined penalties that hurt us, and it creates momentum swings, and kind of bit us in the butt after that.
Momentum was described to me as, from a former coach of mine, it's really hard to describe, but when you have it, you know that it's there. Elmira had grabbed some momentum with some early goals in the second period as the Black Bears saw the lead dwindle to a tie. They regain it, tie again, go behind. Absolute highlight reel goal from Gavin Yates, shorthanded late in the contest to tie the game up at 5. And for our friends watching on YouTube, you might get a sneak peek at it tonight. Our good friend Josh Williams putting together a little bit of a highlight package. The Bricks Barber Company clip of the week this week is the Gavin Yates shorthanded tally with about 3 minutes left to go that tied the game up at 5. And like you kind of said, how you can just seize momentum very quickly. And for the moment, it appeared that, hey, the Black Bears just went down the ice shorthanded. And to be fair, at the time, the penalty kill was struggling a little bit, and Yates calls his own number, goes coast to coast, skates essentially around the entire rink, going east to west and then back to north-south to beat Harvey White. in the net and tie the game up. But it's a moment where he's like, hey, like, let's go. We're right back here. And then, unfortunately, you get the air sucked right back out of you, and your tires deflate a little bit. But momentum, one of those things, tough to describe. But when you have it, you have it. Like, when the offense is clicking, it's clicking.
Just to touch base on that, Gavin Yates did call his own number, and he's like, put me out there. And I trusted him to do a job shorthanded, and he ends up getting us a goal. But I would have trusted him with anything that night, especially with the fight he had against Tate Leeson. That was unbelievable from a point producer like him. It was pretty sweet to watch, and then he follows it up with a goal. It just shows what type of character he is, what an all-around player he is, and that he's willing to do anything for the team.
Yeah, and I think I made note of it on the broadcast and said, the Black Bears are going to try for a shorthanded goal here with time winding down, and they might pull the goalie just to get back on 5-on-5 if they can get some offensive zone time. And I made notice, Gavin Yates is out there on the ice. We haven't seen Gavin kill too many penalties this year, but apparently you said that he was like, hey, I'm going to go out there, and took the puck right away from a guy and, went around one guy and sure enough beat the goaltender finally. So I guess sometimes, it's nice to have a player who's confident in himself and be like, hey, like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. When you, I trust his game overall, but him calling his own number and just being like, I got this, coach, put me out there. It was definitely reassuring, and it made my decision a lot easier.
Yeah, and then the way Gavin is just so deceptive with his speed as well. And I made note of it, like, talking point on Saturday, and we were talking Friday after the game with my partner Alex Jones about it, is he's such a good skater going east to west, and he's so quick moving laterally that he draws a lot of penalties by people trying to hold or hook him just getting around, because if he gets by, he can go north-south just as well as he goes east to west, and a lot of times that will lead to the Black Bears getting on the power play.
Yeah, he's very good on his edges. So once he gets around him and he's got the defender reaching, he's either going to draw a penalty or he's by them and he's got a clear lane to the net and he can drive it to the cage. So yeah, he creates a lot of offense. He's very deceptive, but also he's got lights out speed.
Unfortunately for the Black Bears, that game would end in a regulation loss. Chris Hunt would score the game-winning goal with about 24 seconds left to go. Black Bears put some pressure on Elmira and got a couple of shots off in the final 20 or so seconds of the contest. But the last attempt, Tyler George was calling for a one-timer in an open position, and a diving effort from Elmira to knock the puck out into the neutral zone would be the final play of the night. Black Bears fall in regulation by a final score of 6-5. First time this season falling up against Elmira. And before the world or the sky came falling down, people might find it a little hard to believe, but when you play a team 8 times in a season like Binghamton and Elmira will play each other this year, hard to win all 8 games regulation, come away with 24 points against the same team that many times.
It is hard, and they're a different team. I think that was a little bit of their championship game, as you could tell by their celebration after. You would have thought they won a playoff series, but yeah, it was huge for them, and it was a lot more important to them, and we took them lightly. But yeah, like I said before, you can't overlook any team in this league. It's the time of the year where everyone's starting to battle for playoff position, home ice advantage, all that. So every game's on the line. But one thing about our boys that I love is they never quit. Just like the Port Huron game where we were down 4-0, they kept fighting back, and it says a lot about this team's character.
Well, the Black Bears would come back the next day and defeat the Danbury Hat Tricks. So now we are on a Saturday, and the team goes out on the road once again, and another very quick start for the Black Bears, scoring 3 goals in the first period. What's been the message to the team as of lately that leads to such good starts in the opening 20 minutes?
Just me pounding into their head that the first 5 minutes is so important, especially in this league when travel is very tough and you're coming off the bus or a rink like Danbury. You just got to get moving right away, and if you don't, then you'll have a cold start, and you will be cold.
Yeah, well, the Black Bears got off to a good start, got an opening goal in the first 5 minutes, and that was very big. It was, let's see, I believe it was Wasn't it the first one of the
Yes.
night? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great 3-on-2 play. The boys came up together. There was a good middle lane drive from Thompson, and that kind of created a lane for Nikita to pass it across ice, and Chad Lopez went bunk.
I saw somebody mention it on the fan pages and commenting underneath all the Facebook stuff about how Nikita's really turning into a playmaker, and we're seeing him pass the puck a whole lot more than maybe what some of the fans were used to seeing last year. And he's a great goal scorer, and no doubt about it. He's shooting at 20%, so 1 at every 5 is going into the back of the net this year for the Black Bears. But I've noticed it, fans are noticing it, and I'm sure that you're noticing it as well, just how well Nikita is moving the puck around this season in his second year with the Black Bears.
Yeah, well, since I came in, Nikita and I have had a couple one-on-one conversations about just like moving the puck, you'll get it back, and if you use your teammates, it just creates more space, and like just little give and goes like that, you might just have an easy tap in. But a lot of people like to label Russian players as being selfish, but to me, he is not selfish by any means. He'll battle for any one of his teammates. He'll fight for any one of his teammates, and he's dishing the puck around quite a bit.
Well, he would finish the night with 3 assists and be the third star of the game, and Nikita with actually all 3 of his goals, or all 3 of his assists rather, all primary helpers too. So not afraid to pass the puck is Nikita Ivashkin. Did you have that conversation in Russian?
No, he fully understood what I was saying.
Okay.
And, right now, he really likes playing with CeeLo, the Southwest Pest. But they got a good connection going, and I think them kind of matching speed together makes it a little bit easier. Sometimes maybe earlier in the year he was kind of going up the ice by himself, and now he's able to spread the puck around.
Well, the Black Bears would go up 3-0 into the locker room in Danbury. A lot of the fans at the ice arena very puzzled. They're not used to seeing their team off of the scoreboard in a period, rather, not just talking about like in a game, but in a period. That's very odd for Danbury, especially at home in a hostile environment. And the hat tricks would get on the board in the second period, and you guys are up by 2 going into the third period. Now, the third period is almost like Danbury just kind of flipped a switch, and shots on goal in the third period were 13 for the Hat Tricks, only 4 for the Black Bears. What were you noticing that Danbury was doing differently in the final 20 minutes that they had not done in the previous 40?
I think we took a few more penalties, so they got on the power play a little bit more and started peppering shots. But we weren't coming up the ice together quite as much, but we were still playing physical, and we were kind of playing it a little safe. And it would have been nice to have a little bit more sustained ozone time where we can rag down the clock. So just getting the puck 200 feet away from our net, that makes things a lot easier and staying out of our D zone. But it was more so puck management, knowing what to do with the puck and at the right time, like 5 minutes left, making sure it gets out past the blue line and making sure it gets past the red line and putting it deep. So that's basically it. I mean, like they're gonna get chances, and I really thought their second goal by Gesto, it was a good goal, and then there was a bit of a breakdown on the third goal, but overall, like that's just hockey. Some things happen that are lucky, but the boys played hard, and even if we did lose, I hate losing, but
oh yeah,
the boys, you know
yeah.
that I hate losing, but I was very proud with how they played, how physical they played, how they controlled their aggression, not taking like too many penalties, but also they played with a ton of heart and compete, and that's what's most important to me.
You mentioned the penalties, and the Black Bears did take more penalties than what you would like them to, but spin zone, they went 100% on the penalty kill. Danbury went 0 for 6 on the power play, and you guys really seemed to play extremely well while you were a man down in a tight turnaround less than 24 hours later, coming off an Elmira game where the Mammoth were able to score twice on the odd man advantage. It's good to see the team really put that game in the rearview mirror almost immediately. And one of my concerns is, are you going to let Elmira beat you twice in the same weekend. But that was not the case for the Black Bears, especially by the start. Get up 3-0, okay, get a little bit of adversity. Danbury ties it up. Like you said, get caught up maybe playing back a little bit too cautious, not getting that sustained offensive zone time pressure, which will waste some time off the clock, and also, just keep their goalie involved into the game and not in a lull. But we get to overtime, and Jake Schultz scores the game winner. Discussion about it, was it in, was it not? By the letter of the law, it's a goal every time. By the one rule that's in there, it says it's going to be a goal. Referees got together. All four of them talked about it, overturned what a call on the ice was to a good goal. Black Bears come off the bench for the second time to celebrate the goal, and then very quickly make their way to the locker room, and they're going to escape with the overtime victory. But if anything, for me, one thing that I noticed was it's almost like a mental hurdle that the Black Bears just overcame. Hey, we just went to Danbury, and we won in Danbury, because chances are, and if you want to, you're going to meet Danbury somewhere down the road again come playoff time. I believe we're done going there for the regular season. But it's like, hey, we need to prove that we can beat this team on the road and not just rely on home games.
Yeah, it's huge to go in there and get a win. I don't know if the Black Bears have gotten a win there. I heard some of the guys saying that we've never won there, but yeah, that's huge for confidence, knowing that we can do it in their building, and I think it kind of stunned them. But just to touch base on the special teams a little bit, I'm a little forward biased, but Josh Newberg, Brett Parker, Mac Lewis, they did an amazing job on the PK. Austin Thompson as well. They're getting their angles going on the forecheck, forcing them to dump pucks, and then in the D zone they're selling out, blocking shots. Walters, another good defenseman on the PK. He was blocking tons of shots, and then just a lot of second efforts from Josh Newberg. It was fun to watch from the bench, hearing the boys cheer him on, and it definitely doesn't go unnoticed.
It was definitely noticeable from the broadcast corner that I was perched up in, right by the goal horn, and I could tell that Newberg was diving out, blocking shots, sometimes multiple shots in the same shift, and. Yeah. Every time it happens, so I feel like I just get a bruise on my leg, just watching it, and be like, oh man, that's gotta hurt. He gets it to the top of the umbrella, and the guy just winds up a clapper. And, oh, there goes Newberg diving out for it. Oh, that one hurt. And I start to feel sorry for him. I know he's doing his job and what he's asked of, and it's like, gosh, that is gotta hurt. But hockey players are a different kind of tough, also maybe a different kind of crazy as well. To get in front of a piece of rubber that's frozen and kept at 12 degrees. In a freezer, but hey, it's a sport that we all love. I love talking about it. They love playing it, and I'm sure you love coaching it.
Yeah, big time. And it's an ultimate team sacrifice, blocking a shot, taking a hit to make a play, all those types of things. It's just team-first mentality. And then with the goal in overtime, that's a goal. It's a goal in the NHL. If their team knocks off the net and the puck is going in or is on its way in, it's a goal. So a lot of people want to disagree with that on the other side, but if that was their goal, they'd be saying the same thing. So it just happens to work out in our favor.
I feel like those are just the things that are, hey, 50% of the people are going to be happy, 50% are going to be upset.
Yes, 100%.
So, it's happening. Just like a bounce. Some days you get them, some days you don't. And it was just unfortunate that for the Danbury fans, that's the way that the game ended, with their own player sliding into their own net and knocking it off the pegs, while the puck also found its way into the net and the goaltender didn't stop it. But we're going to see the same Danbury hat tricks this Friday night for a home game. So now we're looking into the future. Home game Friday and away game Saturday. What is the message to this week? I know you guys just had your first day of practice this week and had a little bit of a film session. But what is the memo to all the guys in the Black Bears locker room for this Friday and Saturday?
A lot of it's angling, matching their speed. Danbury's a very fast team, so we got to be anticipating and catching our angles early and making sure they're not entering our zone easily, and we're pitching them off at their offensive blue line. So that was a big message. And then honestly, just cleaning up the D zone a little bit. As far as our weak side winger, I rely on them a ton. And then just puck management, knowing what to do with the puck at the right times of the game. We don't need to dangle and turn it over at the blue line or at the top of the circles. We need to rag time and keep it down low and just sustain that ozone pressure.
And the Black Bears will try to do so on Friday night as the Danbury Hat-Tricks will come to town. It's Foster Parent Appreciation Night, presented by the BinghamtonBlackBears.com, or call the office at 607-722-7367. Already doing a good number on the pre-sale portion of tickets. Also expecting a big walk-up for Friday night as well. The college kids are back in town, so we're going to try to pack the barn. It's going to be a loud and rowdy crowd as the rivals, the Danbury Hat-Tricks, come to town on Friday night. Black Bears will also head out on Saturday, the next day, to take on the Delaware Thunder at the State Fairgrounds in the first state of Delaware, that is. And the Black Bears will look to remain perfect against the Thunder this year. And we talked about it a little bit earlier this season and off the air, but when you have a home game one day and an away game the next day, how important is it for you just to be able to, A, get a good night's rest, and then 2, start the next game on time?
Yeah, it's very tough to do, and but the travel's not too bad. I've seen it worse in other leagues, and it's no excuse. But the whole thing is not taking Delaware lightly. They're going to come out and compete. They're trying to get more points. I know they're at the bottom of the standings, but we got a target on our back, being the Black Bears, and everyone wants to beat us. I think a lot of players want to come play for us as well, and we're quite the attraction around the league. So every team's going to put their best effort towards us, and the whole thing is just taking care of your body, getting a good night's rest, shutting down your mind after the game. Sometimes that's hard to do, but making sure you're drinking the right things and getting fueled up and gearing up for the next day.
Oh yeah, back to your playing days. After a game, and you know that you had to go back home and get ready to leave the next day. What's your favorite post-game meal to go ahead and maybe try to put that good fuel back in your system, or what's the best thing for you? I should say, maybe not your favorite, but what's the best thing for you after a hockey game?
Anything heavy, so like a ton of rice, ton of pasta with some like chicken or steak, or I really like sweet potatoes, so I would try to pile those on after the game. But there's nights that I had a couple unhealthy meals, a couple of the fast food restaurants.
Okay.
Just get some greasy stuff in you after, but for the most part, it's we were traveling, like we'd end a game and then we'd travel through the night, get to the rink the next morning, and it's very hard going on a sleeper bus. I know you can lay down, but you're not really sleeping most of the night, and it's hard, but you end up tricking your mind into a game, and you battle through it, and it's just a little adversity that these boys have to face.
Yeah, were you a big smelling salts guy to wake you up before a game?
Yeah. Towards the end of my career, I needed all sorts of motivation. I was taking pre-workout, coffees, and then the smelling salts. Yeah. So, when I first got in the league, it was all pretty natural. But later on, you need the extra motivation.
Okay. All right. Well, that is the voice of interim head coach Grant Sherwood. More to come on the Tully's Good Times with Coach show after these messages. We're going to talk to new Black Bears alternate captain Josh Newberg after these messages. Don't go anywhere, folks. We continue after this. The Binghamton Black Bears take on their rivals, their Danbury Hat-Tricks, Friday at 7 p.m. for Foster Parent Appreciation Night, sponsored by the Children's Home of the Wyoming Conference. 2-for-1 beers through the first period, so grab your tickets now at BinghamtonBlackBears.com.
It is not too late to get season tickets for this season. Prorated season tickets are on sale now, along with single game tickets and group tickets. Call the front office for more details or visit BinghamtonBlackBears.com.
Black Bear fans, it's now time for the Bricks Barber Company Clip of the Week. On the road last week in Elmira, Gavin Yates shorthanded stole the puck away from the Mammoth power play and went coast to coast and beat the goaltender to tie the game up at 5. Briggs Barber Company located in the number 5 Commons at 41 South Washington Street right here in downtown Binghamton. Give them a visit today. Into the slot, and Kirby scores on the one-timer. You do not want to miss 1 minute of Binghamton Black Bear action this upcoming season. With individual game tickets as low as $10 and outstanding group rates, there is no reason to wait to get your tickets to book your group. Call 607-722-7367 or check us out online at binghamtonblackbears.com. Fans, the next good times with Coach Show will be at the Tully's on the Vestal Parkway location on February 7th at 6 p.m. Join myself, Brooks Hill, along with interim head coach Brant Sherwood as we talk all things Black Bears for the hour. Come out and have a good time with us at Tully's on February 7th at 6 p.m. We can't wait to see you there. The Binghamton Black Bears take on their rivals, their Danbury Hat Tricks, Friday at 7 p.m. for Foster Parent Appreciation Night, sponsored by the Children's Home of the Wyoming Conference. 2-for-1 beers through the first period, so grab your tickets now at binghamtonblackbears.com.
It is not too late to get season tickets for this season. Prorated season tickets are on sale now, along with single game tickets and group tickets. Call the front office for more details or visit binghamtonblackbears.com.
Black Bear fans, it's now time for the Briggs Barber Company Clip of the Week. On the road last week in Elmira, Gavin Yates shorthanded stole the puck away from the Mammoth power play and went coast to coast and beat the goaltender to tie the game up at 5. Briggs Barber Company located in the number 5 Commons at 41 South Washington Street right here in downtown Binghamton. Give them a visit today. Into the slot, and Kirby scores on the one-timer. You do not want to miss 1 minute of Binghamton Black Bear action this upcoming season. With individual game tickets as low as $10 and outstanding group rates, there is no reason to wait to get your tickets to book your group. Call 607-722-7367 or check us out online at binghamtonblackbears.com. Fans, the next good times with Coach Show will be at the Tully's on the Vestal Parkway location on February 7th at 6 p.m. Join myself, Brooks Hill, along with interim head coach Brant Sherwood as we talk all things Black Bears for the hour. Come out and have a good time with us at Tully's on February 7th at 6 p.m. We can't wait to see you there. The Binghamton Black Bears take on their rivals. Their microphone stayed on. Welcome back into the Tully's Good Times with Coach Show, and now I'm joined by Black Bears forward and alternate captain Josh Newberg. Josh, thanks for taking some time on Tuesday and spending a night out here with us at Tully's.
Absolutely, Brooksy. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to start all the way back in the beginning. Growing up in New Jersey, Cranford, New Jersey, Westfield, when you got a little bit older, you know, Town A and Town B right next to each other. You got your kick in New Jersey hockey at a very young age. So what was it like growing up in New Jersey at the youth level before we got into, I would say, like competitive juniors? What was it like as a truly like a youth, like a child?
Well, believe it or not, youth hockey, I actually got started with roller. So my introduction to hockey was all roller hockey. I didn't get into ice hockey until I was about a peewee. And, you know, New Jersey hockey has grown a whole lot since then. So there's a lot more teams now. There's a lot more players, a lot more competitive. But, yeah, I started with roller and got into ice around the age of 12.
Okay. And for a lot of people who, you know, turn professional playing ice hockey, one common thing that I've noticed so far is they say that they have somewhat of a background in roller hockey. How much do you think that roller hockey helped out in your performance translating to on the ice?
Well, it's a pretty big adjustment because I learned how to skate on rollerblades. It's a lot different, but it kind of helped me. Roller hockey kind of helped me grow the love of the game a bit. And once I started getting real serious, I was all in on the ice.
That's how I would say some of my friends are as well. I had
Pretty common.
one friend go and he played college hockey, but I remember him always talking about roller hockey as a kid, and I remember like he had one of his like birthday parties like back when we were in elementary school, like at the roller rink where he played.
Oh, I've done that before.
And
sure.
so it's like, oh, like everybody gets skate rentals for the birthday party,
Right.
everything like that. They got an arcade too,
Yeah, of
and
course.
this guy's skating backwards and going on one foot, everything like that. And I'm, you know, at this point just trying to stay off of the wall and like not holding on to it the whole time. And
Right.
I'm really good at turning left. Turning right was the hard part, and then I didn't even try to flip my hips and turn around on roller skates. But if I was better at one, I'm better at roller skating than ice skating. I think you have gotten better at ice skating. Needless to say, as it's translated to a very lengthy youth, juniors, and professional career, and I think it really turned out A-okay for you. So let's go from childhood hockey and let's move up into juniors, and a little birdie telling me that you were on the absolute powerhouse back in the day in the EJHL with one of the New Jersey teams. Which one was that?
That was the Jersey Hitmen. I was actually fortunate enough to be with the Jersey Hitmen for the first year of their organization. So I spent a good amount of junior hockey with the Hitmen. I played 3 years there, won an EJHL championship. And grew a lot of great relationships out of there and learned a lot, and kind of went on from there.
Well, winning a championship at such a young age is almost like I would say a little bit of a spoil. Earning on is, you know what it's like to lift a trophy like that. I unfortunately did not ever win a championship in my respective sport, and you were able to do one at such a young age. And what do you think, or when you look back at it, with the Hitmen, what's the number one thing that stood out to you about that championship team at the junior level?
Well, we were an underdog team. We had to play teams like the New Hampshire Monarchs and the Boston Junior Bruins, and we were kind of a new organization with young players. So we kind of had to be the more disciplined, be the hard-working team that played against all the Division I committed guys. So I'd say a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work, and really good coaching staff got us there.
Yeah, well, it's a very unique thing, and a lot of it's astonishing to me a little bit of just how much you can remember from a hockey team that was, in retrospect, not that far, I guess, back. in your memory, but like you can remember
Quite a few years ago.
Yeah, quite a few years ago. But you can remember all the names of the teams that you played with. I'm sure you can remember guys that you played with at the junior level.
Definitely.
Guys you played against, all those kind of things, and guys you liked, guys you hated, all that kind of thing. So it's just a unique thing about how the community is going on through hockey. And you spent some time also with the Watertown Wolves back in 2018 and 19, playing in over 50 games for the Wolves that season. So we went from juniors now to professionals, and you're in your second season with the Black Bears. But what was that first Watertown team like? What are the things that you remember about that squad the most? Because in fact, you have a couple of teammates now who are on that squad.
I do, yeah. And before I got there, the Watertown Wolves had won the championship. They won the FHL the year before.
Yep.
So I kind of came into a good situation. There's a lot of talent on that team. Unfortunately, we got knocked out of the playoffs that season. But I learned a lot. I played forward and D. I kind of learned how to adjust to pro hockey as a two-way player a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I still kind of try to bring to my game today. And it was definitely a great learning experience.
All right. Getting a quick word from our producer, Cole. Just hold the microphone a little bit closer to your mouth.
Sure,
there
just like this?
Yeah, there you go, right there.
Okay.
Okay, so that Watertown team, had some teammates, and now that you brought them over here to the Black Bears, and we were talking off the air this morning after practice. It kind of wrapped up, maybe giving you a little bit of a heads up about some of the topics that we were going to talk about tonight. And one thing that I mentioned was things that you had noticed from last year's squad that are different about this year. So let's compare. We're just over the halfway point for this season, so we haven't had a full year to gauge how the 22-23 year is going to pan out for the Black Bears. But what are some of the biggest differences and maybe some of the similarities as well between last year's squad and this year's team?
Well, there's quite a few differences. I think we still have some of the core players that we did last year, but so far this year I think there's a lot more structure. I think Coach Sherwood has brought a real positive vibe to the locker room, which I really love. Everyone always plays better when they're happy and being positive with each other, and there's a lot less finger pointing, a lot less arguing. The locker room is kind of really close. We're really coming together, and I'd say, the biggest thing, positivity. We're really positive this year. We're really excited to, bring a championship to this city.
Yeah, and the Black Bears are going to try to do that this year. And since the Binghamton Senators did it back in 2011 when they won the Calder Cup, a lot of those guys panned out to be some bigger names in the NHL. So hopefully these guys here can do that once again and bring a trophy back to Binghamton inside Vision Veterans Memorial Arena. And let's talk about a little bit of your game in retrospect. And, you're playing in all the regular season games last year for the Black Bears, one of the Iron Men for the squad. 60-game schedule, one game got postponed, never got made up. And you're playing predominantly last year with Nikita Ivashkin, and that's something that we've seen you start to do again here a little bit more in the last month or so. So does it feel good playing back with Ivashkin on the same line again?
It does, and like I've talked about before, I think me and him kind of mesh pretty well together. He's pretty much a forward-thinking player, and I kind of try to stay high and be that F3 and try to play it safe a little bit of a defensive forward. So I think we go well with each other. I also, have the opportunity to drive him around town wherever he needs to go. So we've become really good friends in the meantime.
I love how you say the word opportunity to drive him around town. It's not the burden to drive Nikita across town.
Never,
you get the opportunity to drive and hang out with Nikita.
Oh, yeah.
Some people would love that opportunity, but it looks
That's
like you're the
true.
one who lucked out.
I am.
So let's get inside the dot here. I've been very complimentary of your face-off skills all season long, from essentially day one, about how well you do in the face-off circle, particularly in the defensive zone as well. So what goes in to a face-off? Is it all about, seeing how the other guy is going to line up? Does it matter what side of the ice you're on? If you're on the left dot or on the right dot, you're going to change your mindset. I saw you skating around the unit particularly in the defensive zone against Danbury on Saturday night, that you would take a little, half circle around and I assume whispering like, hey, like this is the play we're going to run, like when I win this face-off. But so I think it's a little bit of an underappreciated tool. But what goes into being, one, a good centerman that's so good at taking the draws, and then what goes into it for you personally as well?
I think there's a lot of factors that go into winning face-offs. It's a big possession game, and the score, the time on the clock, the way that the other centerman is lining up, and the way that they line up their defensemen and wingers. So I usually try to be the last person in the dot. I usually try to let my wingers know if I'm going to tie up, if I'm going to win it back clean, if they should come in and help. So there is a lot of factors that go in to winning face-offs. I do think that it's an underappreciated tool, like you said, because possession is a big game, especially in this league. I feel like possession is a real big part of the game. And in the D zone, to lose a draw cleanly, it can end up in the back of your net, as we saw one time in Elmira with Merkel's goal.
What time did you really start hammering down face-off skills and draw controls, I guess, as a kid? Because I assume, moving through youth and juniors, you switch around a couple of different positions, or were you always just a centerman? It's like, hey, this Newberg kid is pretty good at taking face-offs.
Yeah, I was always a centerman since youth, but I think it was in juniors when I really started kind of focusing on getting better at winning the draws and kind of studying the art of it a little bit. Junior hockey, we really focused on that. Yeah.
Do you think that it's a little, I would say, you said it was underappreciated a little bit, but just kind of maybe a skill that's more forgotten nowadays as maybe it was when you were a youth or when you were in juniors?
Possibly. I think the game has gotten faster since then. Rules have changed a little bit. You can't hook and slash as much as you used to be able to when I was a peewee. But yeah, I think that's what fans find really exciting is the speed of the game and the skill. But I think face-offs are still important. They're still the beginning of the play, fight for possession. So yeah, I think it's a little bit forgotten, but it's still there. It still holds its importance.
It's still there because every play starts with a face-off, and either your team has the puck or they have to go get it from the other team.
That's right.
So it's really unique about that. Now, you hear a lot about people saying, oh, on their powered side of a face-off. What's a power side for you? And then is there such thing as a power side? Forehand, backhand, interchangeable terms, but is there any way that it goes differently for you, whether the face-off is going to be in the left dot or if it's going to be in the right dot?
Yeah, I want to be on my backhand. I think most centers are stronger winning it back on their backhand. So I kind of always wanted on that right side so I can win it back to the right.
Okay.
Since I'm a righty.
Okay, I was going to say, because you're right-handed, you want your right hand towards the blade of your stick, and it's easier for you to push
I want to scoop it back with my backhand.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. See, Hockey 101 here at Tully's, thanks to Josh Newberg. I'm picking up things that I've just, I've watched hockey my entire life, but some things you still don't quite understand until you get to sit down and talk with professionals every day like I do. Now, I got this question from a fan. And quite honestly, it's a pretty good one. I have I think a basic answer, but I would love to hear it from your side. What gets a guy kicked out of a face-off dot by the linesman? I said it's normally just like a false start. You're supposed to pause for a second. And like in lacrosse, if you go early before the puck drops, you're booted out. And then they have to send in a guy to replace you.
It could be a false start. It could also be a defenseman or a winger that gives a false start too. So it's not only on the centerman. Sometimes a winger can jump the gun a bit. But usually when I get kicked out, it's because I'm cheating a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the rule changes that they implemented a couple years ago was you're not allowed to use your hand on the face-off and
right.
push the puck back, right?
Right.
You see that with when teams tie each other up.
Yep.
And one of the centers ends up on the ground.
Yep.
I guess he got so much leverage, on his top half of his body that he kind of just shoulders onto the ice, and he would just push it back to his defenseman. That's a penalty now.
And that's pretty common too, because two guys are battling for a puck. Sometimes it takes a second or third effort. So if both guys go down, now you gotta kind of think all right, I can't use my hand here. I have to try to wait for my defenseman or hold off the center so my wing can come get it.
Okay. So we talked about face-offs very much in depth tonight, and this is the face-off 101. So we're going to clip this one. This will be airing during the intermission at some point on Friday night against the Danbury Hat Tricks, maybe giving some friends and maybe some of our younger hockey fans as well a little bit of tips going on. So, Josh, if you're talking to a young kid right now who plays hockey and is just lining up as a center, just going out there and taking the draw, what's something that they could be doing to maybe stand out to their coaches or maybe even scouts at the next level?
I would say know where your players are. Don't go into it blind. Sometimes one thing I tell my daughter is she'll go into the face-off circle without looking around. Okay, you always want to know where your players are. And angling your stick back so you can win it back. If my stick is angled sideways, I can't really scoop it back quick enough before the other centerman can get it.
Okay.
So those two pieces of advice I think are top.
Yeah, all right. Well, take those two tidbits for our junior Black Bears back at home. And that information was free courtesy of Josh Newberg. And Josh, you also are a hockey coach in the sense I've seen you giving some lessons out on the ice. Same ice that the Black Bears play on as well. How long have you been doing lessons?
I've been a strength and conditioning coach for about 6 years now. I have a certification that's hockey specific. So,
okay.
I do a lot of private lessons or small group lessons during the season while I'm here. I'm doing them at our beautiful arena. So, it's a big bonus for some of the kids to come out. They learn a lot, and they get to skate on the nice ice.
Yeah, nicest ice in Broome County. I can guarantee
That's right.
you that. And Vision Veterans Memorial Arena. And, Josh, if we have anybody watching at home or on the re-upload or they see this during intermission, how do they get in contact with you to try to set up either a small group or a private lesson?
Sure. They can always email me at josh@xhockeyacademy.com.
All right, Josh
at xhockeyacademy.com.
All right, there we go. Josh at xhockeyacademy.com. Get yourself set up with some lessons from Josh Newberg. Teach you how to win some face-offs. Good for skating as well. Strength and conditioning with a hockey bonus. I might be signing up here sometime soon. I've had one
we'll
person.
Get you out there.
Yeah. I'm starting to skate and not hold on to the wall anymore, and I haven't fallen yet, knock on wood, a couple of times. But once we add a stick into my hand, we'll see how that's going to go. We might have to film that for the team YouTube channel. Don't think the PTO is coming anytime soon on my side of things, but always got to remain optimistic about that. And lastly but not least, one thing that I was going through the archives of last year, pretty special moment for you last year, pregame that you were taking place in a ceremonial puck drop at the arena. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we had a different 14 at the time, but I believe after the ceremonial puck drop, you actually proposed to now your fiancée Christina. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
Okay, so how did that story come about?
Well, I planned it for a little while. I wanted to make it a surprise. We've been together for a long time, and she just is the most supportive, girl I could ever imagine. She really wants me to keep playing, and she comes to as many games as she can. So I set it up where her mom and her brother came to a game, and fortunately, she did not see it coming. I was a little worried that she would, but I got her by surprise, and we're getting married in August.
Okay, well, big congratulations to Josh and Christina.
Thank you very much.
On the marriage coming up in August. And you said that you were worried that she was catching on to it.
Yeah.
Now, had you taken a ceremonial puck drop earlier in the season?
I did.
What were you worried about tipping her off?
Well, she came out to drop the ceremonial puck. I had my son with her.
Okay.
So the cover was that my kid would drop the puck, but I needed her there. So
Just to make sure.
So she had to walk him out, and it hit her by surprise. So I was happy.
Well, that's really good. It's a real feel-good story. We're glad that the Black Bears organization could be a part of it, even though I wasn't a part of the team last year. I was able to go back, watch the game from last year when it happened, and also relive it through pictures. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and it was really unique to see her surprise, you kind of smiling, holding it back maybe just a little bit, neither here nor there. But and then also like some of the fan reactions too, like in the background. Just a little neat little thing I was able
And
to.
we also won the game, so that was big.
There you go. I would say that was the most important thing that night, but obviously that's not. That's probably why I don't have a girlfriend myself. Okay, so just an incredible opportunity. We're so glad that everything worked out and that she also said yes.
Yes.
I'm glad you're still here with us in Binghamton. We're glad that your hard work and leadership, positivity has been rewarded by Coach Sherwood, naming you an alternate captain this year as well. And Josh, we want to wish you the best of luck this weekend against Danbury and Delaware. What's one thing that fans should look out for on Friday as the Hat Tricks come back to town for the Black Bears?
I'd say some physical play. They're a really good offensive team. I think if we stay physical like we did on Saturday and shut down their power play, shut down their first line, we'll have a very good chance of winning.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Percy.
We appreciate it. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
the engagement from last year and future wedding coming up in August. That is Black Bears forward and alternate captain Josh Newberg. Thank you for joining us on the Tully's Good Times with Coach Show. Friendly reminder, home game this Friday on the 27th against the Danbury Hat Tricks. It's the penultimate time that the Hat Tricks come to Vision Veterans Memorial Arena this year. So go ahead and get your tickets now by calling the office at 607-722-7367 or skating over to BinghamtonBlackBears.com. If you want a limited edition 50th anniversary shirt, right here, Binghamton Black Bears. Our good friend Julia from the front office designed these. These are available online at blackbearshop.com, or you can purchase one in person at the merchandise stand at the next Black Bears home game. FYI, it's this upcoming Friday, 7 p.m. Don't forget, get your tickets now. For interim head coach Brant Sherwood, for Josh Newberg, Cole, our producer tonight on the ones and two, I'm Brooks Hill signing off from Tully's on the Vestal Parkway. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you Friday. Have a good one, everybody.